Hi everyone, we are from T4. Today I'm Nur Azuraya and my two members, Nur Inzian and Shibu to work presenting. So today we are speak is divided to 6 part. So I will present about the history of Switzerland. So Switzerland is originally inhabited by the invasion or Hubert the Kurds, and since the Gallic War, the territory composition modern Switzerland come under Roman rule 1th century to 4th century. At this time, the population reached a high level of civilization and enjoy of flourishing commerce. And then the following the fall of the Roman Empire, Switzerland was invaded the Germany trade from the north and west. Some trade settled there, including the Rimini in center of northern Switzerland, and the Burgundian is the western Switzerland. So, foreign public raised the furthermore of the Holy Roman Euro deal in 1291. This royal family of heroes since and other words signed and charged to maintain public order and mutual support in the maintain autonomous administrations and judicial rule. So Switzerland National Day is celebrated on the anniversary of church signature August 1291. So in in 1499, gaining independence for the Holy Roman Empire and announced its protectionist policy, Swiss Confederation, and evolved into the federation to 13 municipalization overseas to subject the territory through regularly governing diets. So, to this day, containing autonomy and referendum democracy and remand treatment of the Swiss polity. So, during the 19th century, Switzerland industry rapidly and by 815 had become the second most industry country in Europe after Great Britain, and Switzerland was neutral during World War I, but come close to neutrality during World War II. The country became under pressure for fascist power in 1963, joined the Council of Europe in 2976, part of the canton of the Being Canton Independence, forming the new canton of Jura. So this is Geneva. Become the host of Europe, Europe in Codes, and the country play of active role in the many of the specialist agency, and then they become the United Nations in 2002. So that's all for me. I will pass for next presenter.
I would like to continue our presentation with the next part, which is the geography of the Switzerland. So this is the map that shows the Switzerland part. In Switzerland, there are three main regions, which includes the Alps, the Central Plateau, and the Jura. In Switzerland, from north to south, it was measured around 220 kilometers, and from west to east, it was measured around 348 kilometers. So the location of this Switzerland was in the Central European time zone, which was 1 hour ahead of Greenwich time. This is the three main region of Switzerland that I mentioned just now. This area was the Alps, which cover 60% of the Switzerland. So the yellow one will be the Central Plateau, 30% that cover of Switzerland, and this is only 10% occupy the part of the Switzerland which called by the Jura. So this is the Swiss Alps. For your information, this Swiss Alps was being the trademark of the Switzerland since the time immemorial. So this is the Swiss glacier that cover around 1,000 kilometers per square of Switzerland territory. Next will be the second region, which is the Central Plateau. or well known by the Mittelland, middle country, and this Central Plateau has the highest population density in Switzerland. So it was between the Lake Geneva in the southwest to Lake Constance in the northeast. It will be the lakes and river in the Switzerland. So in Switzerland, it has around 1,500 lakes, and by having these lakes and river, Switzerland has known as the water tower of the Europe. So there are three major rivers in the Switzerland, such as the Eure, Seine, and Rhine. So the last main region of the Switzerland, which called the Jura. So this Swiss Jura stretches from the Rhone to Rhine, and it's cover around 10% of Switzerland territory. There are a few of main city in the Switzerland, which include the Zurich, then followed by the Geneva, Basel, Bern, Lausanne, and the other main city was Lucerne, that has the least population in Switzerland, which has around 77,000 of Swiss citizens. Followed by the transportation network in Switzerland. As you know, this transportation network was contribute to the Switzerland to being ranked among the top countries in the world because of the quality of their life. Then comes the railway. This is the Swiss railway network, and Switzerland has a very density of railway network, as they have like average of 122 kilometer of track for every 1,000 kilometer per square. In Switzerland, there are three main airports that they have, which is the Zurich airport, the largest international flight, and then the second largest was the Geneva airport, and the third largest was Euro airport Basel Mulhouse Freiburg. In Switzerland, they have only small port on each river that call Port of Basel. And for the climate in Switzerland, is considered like more moderate. And also the temperature in the Alps always like goes down for every 200 meter to 300 meter for some 4 to 5 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, during the warmer year, the temperature in Switzerland can easily go over 30 degrees Celsius. So what we can see here, in Switzerland, it was considered mild with no dry season and warm summer. So for the rainfall spread equally all year around in Switzerland. Moving on to the next part, which is the key demographic data of the Switzerland. So as you can see here, this is the latest data of the Switzerland. First of all was the total population of the Swiss people, which is 8.7 million. And as for that, the total population was covered 0.11% of the world population. And the total area of Switzerland is around 41 kilometer per square, and the population density is 212 per kilometer square. For the Swiss people long lifespan, it was expected to be 81.1 years. And for the urban population, it was covered around 73.85%, and the literacy rate of the Switzerland is 99%. Continue by the population between both gender, and you can see here there are more female population rather than the male population of the Swiss people. For the birth rate, it was around 1.5 birth per woman, and the mother mean age at first birth of the Swiss people is 30.7 years, while the mortality rate is 8.75 per 100 population. And there are 4 national languages of the Swiss people, which are French, German, Italian, and Romansh. This is the people in number, which I mentioned just now. The population of the Swiss people is 8.7, and it was estimated by the UN in 2050, the population of the Swiss people will increase to 9.8 million. So currently, the annual growth rate of the Switzerland was 0.7%, and by estimation of the UN, the growth rate in 2050 will decrease to 0.24%. So here are the population pyramid of Swiss people. To the left side, it was the male, and the right side was the female. So to be concrete here, the major age group in Switzerland was around 40 to 64 years old, that have the percentage of 35%, and the least age group was 80 and over years old, which is 5.1%. Next will be the distribution of population in Switzerland. So there are two distribution, which is by gender and also by citizenship. For according to by gender, between the man and woman, this is plotted by the value that I mentioned just now, which they have. The major age group is the 40 to 64 years old, and also the least age group was 80 and over years old. So for the citizenship, the percentage of the foreigner in Switzerland was 25.1%, and the highest age group of foreigner in Switzerland is also around 40 to 64 years old, similar with the data of the local age group. Meanwhile, for the foreigner, they have more like 20 to 39 years old age group compared to the local. And as you can see here, there are the graph for the population and also the annual growth rate to support the value that I just mentioned just now. Like for the population, you can see around 9 million people by 2050, that estimate by the UN, and also the growth rate of the Switzerland will be decreased from 0.7 to 0.24 by meantime of 2050. This is the population density map. So there are 5 most populated cities, which include the Zurich, Geneva, Basel, Bern, and followed by the Lausanne. And it was the ethnic group in Switzerland, and obviously the Swiss people was the major one, which covers 68.9%. And they also German group, Italian, ethnic, Portuguese, French, Kosovo, others, and the least one will be the unspecified. For the religion in Switzerland, there are few to be listed. One of them are Christian people, which are the major one. They cover 81.3%, and they are also religiously unaffiliated. In simple word, who are the person that do not belong to any organization or any group. So this one has covered 12% of the total population in Switzerland. There are also Muslim people, and there are the same value, 0.4% for Buddhism and Hinduism in Switzerland. Also Judaism, which is the Jewish religion, and the balance 0.1% was covered by the other religion. As you realize, I have mentioned there are 4 national languages that being used by the Swiss people, which includes the Swiss German, French, Italian, and Romance. And there are also a few languages such as English, Portuguese, Albanian, Serbo-Croatian, Spanish, others.
Hello, I am Esima Sabi. So I'm going to discuss about the economic data of Switzerland. So here we can see the Big Mac index with at 7.29 US dollar was for Switzerland, which one is the highest in the world. So here you can see the GDP in 2014 it was 709.1, The growth rate was negative 2.9, and in 2019 it was 703.0, and the growth rate was 0.3%. Here we can see the GDP per capita. GDP growth rate of the last one was 0.3. The previous one was 7.6, which one also the highest, and the lowest one is the negative 7.2. And the GDP annual growth rate is negative 1.7, 1.6, and the previous one is negative 1.4, and the highest one is 6, and the lowest one is negative 8. The Gini, we can see the last one was 172,916.8, and the previous one was on September 2020, it was 167,733.8, and the minimum was in 1990, in the March, it was 90,569.2, and the maximum was in 2019 December, it was 186,376.36. Here you can see the capital of Guinea. It was 73,800 in 2019, and we can see in 1990 it was only 28,160, and also in 2017 it was 65,820. Here we can see the average monthly wages. The unemployment rate is the latest one is 3.6, and the previous one is 3.7, and the highest one is 5.7, and the lowest one is 1.5. The employed persons, the 5,114. The previous one is 5,067, and the highest one is 5,129, and the lowest one is 3,242. The unemployment person is 167,953, and the previous year was 169,753, and the highest one is 206,291, and the lowest one is 26 only. So here we can see the average salary of Switzerland by sectors. Here we can see the lowest one is accommodation and food services, and the highest one is the financial and insurance activities. So here we can see the beginning of 2018, it was only 33.1. By March of 2021, which one is taken from the World Bank. So here we can see the lowest one is on 2012, it was 31.6, and the highest one is on 2007, which one is 34.3. So now I am going to talk about the standard of living index. For the electricity, 100% population got their electricity. Fresh water is also same, 100% population got the water. The withdrawal total is was in 2002 it was 6.2 and 4.3% in 2017. The safely managed services is 99.5 from duration 2015 to 2017, when it was 99.47 in 2013. So clean fuels and technology for cooking also 100% from 2000 to 2016. So here we can see the drinking water sources for 100% population. The physicians for 1,000 person also got in 2014 it was 4.1, and currently is 4.3 during 2017. The population is safely managed is 99.53 from 2014 to 2017, and hospital beds units per 1,000 person in 2016 it was 4.69, and in 2018 it was 4.43. Here we can see the physician include generalist and specialist medical practitioners. In 2017 it was 4.2, and in 2014 it was 4.1. For nurses and midwives for 1,000 persons, it is for in 2017 it was 17.5, and in 2014 it was 16.4. For specialists, we can see in 2017 it was 94.7, and for healthcare physician employed in 2015 it was 34,762, and in 2018 it was 36,940. Here you can see it was physicians for 1,000 person is 4.292. Here you can see the hospital beds for 1,000 person is 4.6. Here you can see the nurses and midwives for 1,000 person is 17.5. Here you can see the specialist surgical workforce for 100,000 population is 94.76 in 2017. Here you can see the water resources. Switzerland holds 5% of Europe continental fresh waters. In Switzerland, 40% water comes from springs, 40% from pumped from the underground, and final 20% taken from surface water. Uh, in in Switzerland, there has 1,500 lakes and 890 square kilometers of countless rivers and streams. So Switzerland have no water supply problems. So here you can see the water consumption and use. Agriculture use 20%, commerce and industry uses 55%, and household use 25%. So here you can see the excess of electricity, which one is from 2014 to 2018, it was 100%. Here you can see the energy sources of electricity. The oil is 38.2%, which one is the most usable things, and the lowest is 0.4%. So here we can see the social users and mobile users of Switzerland. The population was 8.58 million in 2019, and the mobile subscriptions was 10.81 million, which one is 126% higher than the population. The internet users is 1.15 million. The penetration is 95%, and the active social media users is 4.40 million. Penetration is 51%, and mobile social media users is 3.70 million. Penetration is 43%. So here you can see the social media audience profile from 13 to 44 years old. The male are the most users from female users. From 45 to 64 years, male and female are equal users. Uh, from 65 years above, we can see the female users is 2.7%, and the female and the male is 2.9, and the female is 2.7. Okay, so that's all from me. Thank you.
So for the conclusion, Switzerland is the small maintenance country located in the Europe. This landlocked country is about the size and New Jersey and between France and Italy. It also born the Australia, Germany, and Liechtenstein. Most of the population live off the peak, which is between the high Alps in the south and the Jura Mountain in the north, and the mountains on area in the south is especially populated. The country has remained neutral in the conflict around the world, including the both wars. Switzerland did not become a member of the United Nations until 2002. 2002, and is not a member of the Europe Union. So that's all for my group. Thank you.